My name is Oshun. On this channel, we uncover the creepiest, most unusual haunted TikToks the internet has to offer for entertainment purposes. Please do me a favor and like, comment, and subscribe to the Soul Tribe for your weekly dose of supernatural, coming to you every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. Y'all are my Soul Tribe. Tribe is with a Y because the Y is for you, honey. And that's because I love you so freaking much. Yes, I do, baby. Thank you for being here with me. I appreciate your time, and I do not take it for granted whatsoever. My lips were a little dry. I'm sorry. I had to. My bad. Anyway, with that being said, let's get to these shout-outs, okay? First shout-out going to Mr. Black Magic 2024. He says, I was the real first viewer, by the way. Host got receipts. Mommy Amare. Best reaction content on YouTube. And period. That is my darling son. That is my king, my young king. My young God, and he chose me to bring him into this universe, and I'm so happy. So go check out my son. I am going to link his YouTube in the description, baby, because go run it up. He got his music thing going. He's doing very well. He started off with, that gangbanging, rough, hard stuff and then I told him, honey, what you say is what you speak is what's going to be in your universe. So you need to switch it on up. Plus you have following. You don't want them to be drained in that low vibrational information. Okay. So switch it up. And that's what he did. So I'm so grateful for my baby. I'm so happy and proud of him. Yes. Go check out his music. The beat in the beginning is him. And if you've ever stayed to the very end and listened to the actual voice on that beat, that is also him. So it's him in my intro and my outro. Period.
She was riding home on the subway when she hears this. TikTok user Jill from Mexico City was riding home on the subway completely alone when she started hearing random screams from an unknown source. And as she pulls her phone out to record, she captures something that's nothing short of terrifying. In the reflection of the subway window, a figure can be seen sitting right beside her. But moments before, she pans the camera in that direction, and there was no one there. Many comments report seeing things on that exact subway, and that it's haunted, while others believe this is a complete hoax. What horrific spirit could be stuck on that train? Let me know your thoughts.
It was the first week that I moved to New York City. It was maybe the second time in my life I had ever taken the subway. I had just gotten to the city and we were living uptown, really, really far uptown at the very tip top of Manhattan. And our stop was 191st Street, which if you've been there before, you know it is 17 stories underground into the earth. You can feel it. You can feel how far down you're going, and it's like the air almost does get a little thicker. And when I moved, it was in August, so it was certainly hot and peak humidity for New York. We were going, I honestly don't remember what we were going to do. It was something really boring, like, oh, well, let's go and get some stuff at Target because we don't have enough pillows, something really basic. So we get down to the subway platform and the energy is really intense. Right away I was pretty shocked. And again, this was my first week living here, and I want to make it clear I had only been to New York one time before I moved here, and I had just kind of forgotten that the subway platforms don't have like guardrails, which if you live here, you know that they do now. Some select stations, they're putting up some sort of random metal guardrails, but for the most part, they don't. And on 191st, the platform, it just felt really thin, and we were waiting for our train to come. And, you know, sometimes the express trains will zoom through the middle track, and there were like, you know, some papers kind of flying around the air of one subway passing in front of another one, and this and that, and it's already super overstimulating because you have, you know, a lot of people. Some babies are crying, some people are running around, there's music going on, there's so much. It's kind of hard to ground yourself and take a hold and grasp what's going on. Then add, you know, the 109-degree heat and 100% humidity on top of that. It becomes overwhelming for the senses very quickly. So then I hear almost like a scream or a moan, right? Not like a shrill, like, ah, bloody murder scream, but also not like, ooh, you know, sort of like that. I don't think I could replicate it, but, you know, someone moaning for help, that, and I turn quick over my left shoulder, and I look, and in the tracks, there's a man laying in the tracks. I know this is a bad way to term this, but I said like a half man, right? It looked like a person just from the torso up, in sort of like a white, you know, grayish button up with a scraggly striped tie, and like a dark charcoal gray overcoat that was all patchy and ripped up, and it was dragging itself along the tracks and reaching up, moaning and kind of screaming towards me, and my breath dropped out, and I looked at all the people next to me, and it's that moment where you realize very quickly, oh, no one else sees this. Okay, so it's comforting in a sense, but also very uncomfortable because you're reckoning.
Hey queens, tired of feeling stuck and overworked? Check out the video on my website and see if digital marketing may be your way out. Hope to hear from you soon.
With reality is what I just saw really there. You know, when you're already so overtaken by the lights, the sounds, the smells, the temperature, you know, why would my brain create something even more horrible to add on top of that, you know, on top of this weird like city shit sandwich of like just trying to get your bearings. And my boyfriend kind of heard my breath drop out. I went, oh, you know, and he was like, hey, are you okay? And I like glanced down to where I'm seeing the man pulling himself across the tracks, reaching up at me, and I glanced back at him, and again, I know he's not seeing it. So I just say, yeah, even though I'm not. And we just keep walking. And this spirit, I think, had clearly, I used the word clearly loosely, right? What I interpreted was that this was someone who, it didn't seem like it was an accident, had either jumped or maybe even pushed, but had jumped in front of a train at some point and was cut in half. And I want to make it clear I didn't see his legs or the bottom half of him, but yeah, it was half of a man pulling himself and moaning like a true Ebenezer Scrooge ghost story of wailing for help. And then our train came and we left. Those moments of, with this, right? What can you do? Say a prayer if you believe in God. But I don't know. So now I'll get into the second
how many you
story.
got for us?
I have, and
go follow John T. Hahn's podcast.
Even more crazy, if you can believe it. Even more creepy and intense. There was one day that the energy of like astrologically, right, was very intense. I don't remember if it was like a eclipse or Mercury in retrograde, or I think it actually might have been the solar eclipse, like that last really big solar eclipse we had where people took time off work to run outside and put their eclipse glasses on and see it. I think that was like April of 2024, maybe. Anyway, there was some big thing going on with the planets and the sun. And so the energy was already off. The weather was warm. People were angry. And it's so funny in New York City, right? Especially when you're taking the subway, because it's so easy to get sucked into someone else's energy, whatever they have going on. It's very difficult, at least for me, and I know it is for other people too, because I see how easily one person's bad day can affect everybody else around them, right?
You gotta know how to
So
control it, though.
I am waiting to get
control this.
on a train
Okay.
going uptown, and basically the whole platform was very full. It was going to be a very packed train. So the train arrives, and as people are stepping off the subway car, it's a lot of people coming up. I think I might have been at Columbus Circle, so it's a busy station. No, it was at Columbus Circle, because I remember looking at the sign when I saw what's coming up. So people are getting off. By the time you finally get on, it's like, okay. But the great thing was so many people got off that there were plenty of seats. So I sat down. I don't usually sit. I usually just stand, because it's easier to keep seats open for people, and it's easier to get off when it's your time to get off, right? So I sat, and to my right, we hear the please stand away from the doors, doors closing, please step away from the doors. And the doors keep trying to shut, but they can't shut. Trying to shut, it's like someone is putting their foot in, right? Or trying to stop it. And if one car, someone is doing that too, it happens to multiple cars, right? It's not just one train. It can be multiple train cars that if someone's trying to stop the train or hold the doors open, it can happen for the other doors on the train car. So the doors won't shut, and finally, this sounds so crazy. I know it does, but I have to explain what I saw. It's almost as if it was like an alien movie, but it wasn't an alien, right? But I just see these long fingers curve around the side of the door and push the doors open. And,
oh my goodness.
Oh, God, it makes my stomach fucking drop. This humanoid sort of type head pushes its way in first, with its neck following, and then its torso, and then its hips, and then its knees, and then its feet. And the minute I see it, right, I catch my eyes against it, I'm like, oh my God, whatever this is, I want nothing to do with it. And it's something that about living in New York City makes you feel even more crazy, because there are so many people who on the regular, ignore anything that's happening around them, right? So this could be real, this could not be. This could be a person in a morph suit and crazy special effects makeup just riding the subway for a reaction. Either way, no one is reacting, but the energy from this creature was so malignant and negative and just disgustingly prickly that I knew I just didn't want to be a part of it. So I looked at the ground, and this thing starts, I want to say walking, but it didn't even look like it was oh God, it's it made me nauseous. It was meandering through the car, working its way down. I was sort of towards the middle of the train, and it came in on one of the ends, So it's coming down, slipping and sliding around, this pole, not in a cute slutty way, literally just it's the energy it took for it to pick up its leg and push it down. It would sort of glide, and I'm seeing this all out of my peripheral, and I'm the energy of the people around me isn't changing, which makes me feel this is in my mind's eye. This is something that maybe is not for sharing, right? It's just me seeing it. And it gets to a point where it's right in front of me, and it stops. It's looking towards the end of the car, its profile is towards me, but it stops in front of me. And I just know that if I give it an ounce of energy, it's gonna do something, right? It's gonna get in my face, it's gonna glom onto me, it's gonna try to suck some of my energy, whatever. People say oh, ghosts can't hurt you. Sure, but I don't know what this is. And also not true. Ghosts can hurt you, okay? They can move shit in your house, it can fall on your head, they can scratch your back. There's so much, it's just whatever. Tell yourself whatever you need, but yes, they can. Anyway, it starts to turn and look at me. I just look deeper into my phone, and instead of feeling try to ignore it. I'm still putting out energy that way. I just open an app on my phone and I just start to very, intentionally pick out details about the post that I'm seeing, right? Oh, it's a guy, he has his dog, his hair is brown, the dog's hair is white. Like literally anything, like almost like you think to get yourself out of a panic attack, you're noticing sensory things. It's like that, like just try to take your brain off of the creature that's in front of you. You get to the next stop and the thing straightens up. Like it's going back to whatever its mission was. And I got off the fucking train. I got up early. I was like, I'm waiting for the next subway because it was scary and I don't know what it was. And I had never seen anything like that in my life up until that point. And I didn't want to give it any more time or chances to interact with me. So I let that go. But yeah, those are two of my creepiest subway stories, and I say that frowning because
all right, yes, you better turn it up for us in the first 2-3 minutes of this episode, okay? Now go follow Johnny Hunt's podcast, okay? Period. Next video. Oh, hey y'all, it's me, the Money Professor. How are you? I'm just, helping a client with some mortgage protection. What's mortgage protection? It's a life insurance policy that protects your family and your family's home in the event that you get sick, in a bad car accident, or just pass away before your mortgage is able to be paid off. This is the best way to keep your family and your home safe in the event that, like I said, you pass away. Mortgage protection policies are primarily term policies, and they last, 10 to 30 years, depending on your length of your mortgage payments. It also has the cheapest premiums, so it is extremely affordable for all homeowners, really. I personally believe everyone should know the power and benefits of having mortgage protection, as well as life insurance in general, the different kinds of life insurances that are offered, and how important it is to have for you and your family. Feel free to send me a DM to learn about more opportunities and what's available for you and your family's protection. You can hit the link in the bio, complete the application, and I'll be in touch as soon as possible. Talk to you soon.
This guy secretly has a camera and he's recording women on the subway. A TikTok user uploaded this video about this creepy dude with this bag, and if you zoom in, you see the camera. I did it for you. As you can see, the iPhone phone is flipped upside down. It's taped up nice. It's like very, very like inconspicuous. Let me play the full video for you guys because it's weird. You can see him kind of turning the bag to try to hide it, moving it around. Seriously though, this is some next level creepy shit. You have to be so creepy and devious to come up with this idea of like cutting a tiny hole in the bag to fit the iPhone camera through. And the bag is pretty taped up. I'm sure that's not the only attempt he's made. He probably had to get the height, the angle, everything just right. I mean, if you're on the subway and you see the guy in the video, just stay away from him, I guess. I still cannot believe the stuff I see on TikTok like this. This is just wild. The bear argument continues to get more valid because of weird shit like this. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I've also tagged the creator who uploaded the original video. Go check out her page. And as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
I fell asleep on the subway last night. Hey, sleeping beauty. My eyes fluttered open. I was crumpled in a subway bench, my head resting against the window. By now it was empty, save for the girl who had just spoken. What time is it? I glanced at my phone, 9:32 p.m. Damn it, I had missed my stop. What's the next stop? Franklin. We'll be there in an hour. Franklin. I hadn't heard of that one before. I plopped back down in the seat and stared at the map on the wall. Thompson, Greenville? But I didn't see a Franklin. Heard you talking in your sleep, she said, drawing my eyes away from the map. Nice dream? Oh, it was nothing. To my surprise, she grinned, a wide toothy grin that lit up her face. Ooh, was it a freaky dream? The heat rose to my face. No, it's weird telling you my dream. You're a stranger. True, but I don't have to be. She smiled at me, one finger twirling a lock of her black hair. I'm Angela. My heart fluttered. Mike. So Mike. The subway lurched. The lights flickered, sputtered, and then went out. Angela? I said. Silence. A few lights zipped past the window, flashing the car in an eerie green. I could see the faint outlines of the benches, the poles, the windows, and a large black shadow where Angela was sitting. "Angela," I said, my voice shaking. And beside it, something metal, gleaming in the low light. Thump. I felt the air shift, as if something walked right by me. And then, a cold, bony hand on my shoulder. "Get off me," I screamed. Click. The lights flicked back on. Angela stood next to me, her hand on my shoulder. "Did I scare you?" she said, breaking into laughter. No, of course not. You just startled me, that's all." Right, I startled you," she said, snickering. "Of course." I crossed my arms, but I couldn't stay mad at her. That pretty black hair, that infectious laugh. The subway lurched upwards. The black outside faded into the purple of night. Pines lined the track, their branches swaying in our wake. A small sign read, "Entering Ambleton County." "I've never taken the subway this far," I said. "Of course not. You city slickers never go out into the suburbs. Aren't you from the city too?" "No, just visiting." My heart sank. "Visiting? For how long?" She laughed, a warm tinkling laugh that filled the entire car. "Don't worry, we'll see enough of each other." What? "We've still got almost an hour stuck here." "Oh, right." I laughed uneasily. "How much longer do we have?" I slipped the phone out of my pocket and turned it on. 9:32 p.m., huh? Weird. "So Mike, tell me about yourself," she said as the subway dipped back underground. I'm 27 years old, an accountant for Bauer and Hofstetler." No, I don't want the standard name, age, job. That's what resumes and obituaries are for." She leaned against me ever so slightly and I blushed. "Really tell me about yourself. Your likes, your hopes, your dreams." "Okay, on weekends I'd play Magic the Gathering." No, that makes me sound so boring. I mean, I go kayaking with my cousin, upstate. I did do that once." "What else?" "To be honest, I always wanted to." I paused, glancing over at her. She smiled back, her brown eyes staring into mine. "I always wanted to find that special someone." "Did you?" she said, her eyes sparkling. "Maybe," I said softly. Even in the terrible, fluorescent lighting, she was beautiful. Her warm smile, her brown eyes, and her talkativeness, which I at first found annoying, was actually quite fun. I extended my hand out to hers. The subway lurched. Reflexively, I turned back to the window. The black faded again as we resurfaced from underground. The pines swayed in the wind and a sign approached, "Entering Ambleton County." "Wait, we've already seen that sign," I said, yanking my hand away. "Are you sure?" My heart began to pound. "I'm positive." I stood up, my knees shaking. Are we just going in circles?" But I had not felt the subway turn, not once. "Mike," Angela said, rushing over to me. I swatted her away and ran to the windows. "And that fallen pine, I remember it too." The windows rattled under my fists. "Calm down," she yelled. I backed away. "You're in on this," I yelled, so loud that the car shook, making small talk, keeping me distracted. "To think, I was falling for you." Her eyes clouded with tears. "Mike, please," she said in a voice barely above a whisper. "Where are you taking me?" I yelled. I stared out the window, cupping my hands against the glass. "Where in the hell?" I stopped. The scenery of the trees, the moon, the sky? There was something terribly wrong. I squinted, and my blood ran cold. They had no detail. The moon was just a white circle. All the craters were gone. The pine trees were just rough silhouettes. "Angela, where are we going?" I cried. My voice was softer now, stripped of its anger, replaced with gnawing fear. But her hands were already on my shoulders. I could feel her warmth, her calm permeating my body. She snuggled her head against me and whispered, "I'm taking you home." "What are you talking about?" But then I remembered. 9:32 p.m. Bang. A crushing pain in my chest. "There was a terrible accident," she said, looking into my eyes. Such warm, beautiful brown eyes. I blinked, and, for a second, I saw the black shadow in her place, holding a scythe. "No!" I yelled, tearing myself away from her. "Mike, please, it's not your decision." I turned to the door. I took a deep breath. Shaking, I ran forward, ramming myself into it as hard as I could. Crack. I was falling, out in the cold air. Thump. My eyes flew open. The air stung my lungs. "He's alive." A flurry of sound sirens, yells, screams. A rush of motion, as paramedics hoisted me onto a stretcher, asked me my name. As I was wheeled into the ambulance, I saw out the corner of my eye a dark-haired girl, standing in the crowd, watching me.
So this is a continuation of the story I was telling earlier about the ghost that latched on to my mom in the subway train. So where we left off, the mentor proceeded to explain to my mom that the feelings that she was feeling so intensely on the subway car that day were the feelings that this person was probably feeling at the moment that they passed away. So after a little bit of energy work, the mentor was able to kind of detach this being from my mom. And it didn't take very long for her to feel pretty back to normal after the work was finished. But she met up with a couple of her friends later that week, and they got on the subject of the amount of delays that they'd all been experiencing along this one particular subway line. It turns out that that station in particular had experienced an abnormal amount of fatalities that week. Do you think the two events were correlated? Or is it just a super eerie coincidence? Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Is that how it really is on the subway train at night, honey? Oh no. I will be strapped up. Protected. Okay. Physically and spiritually. Period.
Ghost stories of M.
May they rest in peace. Wow.
No T-Legs.
Okay.
I woke up in a pitch black room trapped in a wooden box, my head sticking out one end and my legs the other. What happened?
Right.
Oh, the guy on the subway. He followed me down an alley and put a rag over my mouth. The lights flashed on, and I was in the middle of a small stage. Red curtains to my left, and an audience of stuffed animals to the right. Music started playing like you might hear in the circus. Ladies and gentle friends, you have the pleasure of witnessing the amazing, magnificent, stupendous Marco. A man burst through the curtains. He was wearing a top hat and had a long red cape and a magic wand. It was the guy from the subway. Who the fuck are you? The amazing, magnificent, stupendous Marco. He waved his hand over the wand, and with a flick, they turned into a bouquet of flowers. Marco pulled out a remote from his pocket and clicked a button.
The music.
Applause sounded from a speaker in the audience. You have got to be fucking kidding me. When I was young, I paid a nickel to see a magic show. Marco pulled out a red ball from his pocket. He started rolling the ball around in his hands and then clapped them together and revealed the ball was gone. That day, I learned something important. The red ball fell out of Marco's sleeve. Shit. He kicked the ball off the stage. That day, I learned that magic isn't just an act. Magic is real. Please, let me go. I promise I won't call the cops. I begged. But every magician needs a beautiful assistant. Marco walked back to the curtains and pulled out a saw. Oh, fuck no, I said, struggling against the sturdy wooden box to no avail.
Normally, I don't get shocked by videos like these, but this one just struck me. As I have read before that some spirits are doomed to repeat the last moments of their deaths, and this one just fits perfectly. Take a look.
This is that same video?
As the person filming just aims down the barrel of the subway in hopes of catching what I can only imagine is the train going by. A ghostly figure dashes for an instant, but is enough to get a very scary image of what looks like the last seconds of someone on this earth. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
I've always taken the late night train home. It's always quiet and empty, but last night was different. The first time I saw him, it was kind of just a flicker in the window. I saw a shadow of a man. He was sitting one row behind me. I looked back, but the seat was empty. The train rattled on. When I looked at the reflection again, he was closer. This time, I stared, hardly able to catch my breath. The figure was more defined. He had hollow eyes and a long face. His lips were whispering something I couldn't hear. My heart pounded. I turned back once more, but there was no one there. By the next stop, he was right behind me. My reflection trembled, but his didn't. He sat so still, watching me, daring me to turn again. I couldn't. The train pulled into the last station. The doors hissed open, and I bolted out, never looking back. But as I passed by the subway windows, I saw his reflection, no longer in the train, but standing on the platform. And he was smiling.
Hi, everyone. I've got a spine-tingling tale for you today. It's about a group of friends who made the mistake of stepping off the platform and into the unknown. It all started on a humid summer night in New York City. A group of 6 friends, returning from a late-night gathering, boarded the last subway train heading downtown. The train was nearly empty, with only a few other passengers scattered across the carriages. The air was thick and stale, an unsettling contrast to the humid night outside. Halfway between 2 stations, the train screeched to a halt. The lights flickered ominously, and then darkness. Annoyed but undeterred, the friends decided to walk along the tracks to the next station. What harm could it do? They climbed out, their footsteps echoing in the suffocating silence. As they moved deeper into the tunnel, an eerie feeling settled over them. The oppressive darkness seemed to swallow their flashlight beams whole. Suddenly, one of them tripped and fell. A scream echoed through the tunnel. They rushed to help, but found nothing except his flashlight, flickering on the ground. Fear began to creep in. They pressed on, hoping to find a way out quickly. But as they continued, another friend slipped into the darkness. Pulled by an unseen force, panic set in. Their casual adventure had turned into a nightmare. The tunnel seemed endless, and the air grew colder with each step. The group now moved in silence, every sound amplified in the dark. Without warning, a loud snap echoed behind them. One more friend was gone. The remaining 3 were paralyzed with fear. They could see the faint glow of the next station ahead. They quickened their pace, driven by the hope of safety. But just as they were about to reach it, a metal beam fell from above, crushing another friend instantly. The sound of bones breaking and the sight of blood splattering left them in shock. The 2 survivors sprinted for the station, their hearts pounding in their chests. They made it to the platform, gasping for breath, drenched in sweat and tears. But as one of them tried to climb onto the platform, a rabid rat bit him. He instantly began to foam at the mouth and convulse as he fell back onto the tracks. The tunnel remained silent and dark, holding its deadly secrets. The bitten friend succumbed to the infection, leaving only one survivor. The remaining survivor looked on in horror, disbelief and terror in their eyes. He had survived, but the nightmare of that night would haunt him forever. The loss of his friends, the gruesome deaths, and the sheer terror would never leave his mind. Thanks for listening to this chilling tale. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe for more terrifying stories. Sweet dreams.
He has an excellent scary voice telling, or scary telling. Oh, wait. He has an excellent voice for telling scary stories. There we go.
In 1977, commuters in New York City began reporting sightings of a ghostly subway train. The train, appearing only at night, was said to carry passengers from the 1930s. Transit worker Tom Martinez decided to investigate, discovering that the train was involved in a fatal accident during its inaugural run. Tom unearthed blueprints revealing a hidden tunnel where the train had derailed. He experienced strange occurrences, like hearing old-time music and seeing spectral figures. By piecing together the history of the accident and performing a memorial service, Tom hoped to lay the spirits to rest. His findings were published, making the Phantom Subway a legendary part of New York City's underground history. If you like this kind of story, please don't forget to click like and follow me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And he showed respect and tried to help the spirits get to rest. So that's pretty cool.
Haunted subway station encounter. I used to think shortcuts were harmless, just a way to save a few minutes of my life. That changed the night I took a shortcut through the abandoned subway station. It was a detour that seemed innocent enough, quicker than the main road and free from the usual rush hour chaos. But as my footsteps echoed in the empty tunnels, I felt an unsettling chill creep up my spine. It wasn't just the cold, it was like the shadows were watching me, whispering secrets only the dark could understand. The first night, I brushed off the feeling of being followed as paranoia. But then it happened again. And again. Each night, the sense of unseen presence grew stronger, more insistent. I started to notice strange things at home, objects slightly out of place, cold spots in warm rooms, and a constant, quiet tapping sound just outside my bedroom window. My friends dismissed my fears, saying I was just stressed. But I knew something had latched onto me in that forsaken station, something that wasn't planning to leave. Desperation led me to research the station's history, uncovering tales of disappearances and spectral figures seen lurking in the shadows. One story stood out, a maintenance worker who vanished without a trace, his last words a frantic call reporting something moving in the darkness. I realized that whatever had taken him had now set its sights on me. Each night, the feeling of being watched intensified, the tapping growing louder and more erratic. Sleep became impossible, every creak and groan of the house sent my heart racing. Last night, I woke to the sound of heavy breathing right next to my ear. I bolted upright, my room bathed in the eerie glow of the street lamp outside. There, in a corner of my room, a shadow darker than the night itself stood watching me. It didn't move, didn't speak, just watched. Paralyzed with fear, I couldn't even scream. As the first light of dawn crept in, the figure slowly dissolved into the morning mist, leaving me trembling and broken. Now I know the truth. Shortcuts aren't always what they seem, and some paths are better left unexplored.
I don't really know how I ended up on paranormal TikTok, but here we are. So welcome to part 2 of the paranormal series I never expected to make. I was gonna tell a sappy story today, but then I was on the phone with my mom last night and she told me this really terrifying thing that happened to her about 10 years ago, and I was like, oh my god, I have to share it. Shoot. Mom was on a subway car going to work one morning, when all of a sudden this wave of sadness just came over her. Not just I'm under the weather sadness, but what she describes as disorienting, nauseating, unbearable sadness. It was so bad that she had to get off the subway car and go home. A couple of hours passed and she realized that it was super out of character, so she called this spiritual mentor that she had been working with at the time. Spiritual mentor agreed that it was super weird, asked her to come in. She sits down with this mentor and this mentor assesses her and says, "No wonder you've been feeling so poorly. It seems that a spirit has attached itself to you." Oh, I'm running out of time. I have to do a part 2, I'm sorry.
Well, we heard part 2 already.
In 2024, the bustling Los Angeles metro is a daily part of life for thousands of commuters. But beneath the city's busy streets, an eerie legend haunts the trains the phantom passenger. According to long-standing rumors, late at night on the Red Line, a mysterious figure is said to appear, boarding an almost empty train and sitting silently at the back. He wears an old-fashioned suit, his head tilted down, and passengers who catch a glimpse of his pale face say his eyes are lifeless and hollow. In 2024, a TikToker decided to film a late-night ride on the Red Line to investigate the urban legend. As the train car emptied out, they noticed a man in the back, dressed in an old suit. The air grew colder, and a strange feeling of unease settled in. Thinking it might just be a regular commuter, they continued filming, until the man suddenly looked up, his eyes dark, vacant, and unnatural. When they blinked, the seat was empty. Startled, the TikToker panned their camera to the empty seat, but the reflection on the train window still showed the man sitting there, motionless. Shaken, they quickly left the train, but upon reviewing the footage later, they found something even more terrifying. A faint whisper in the background, saying, "Next stop is yours." According to local law, the phantom passenger is the ghost of a man who died on the metro years ago, his spirit endlessly riding the rails. Anyone who sees him is warned to get off at the next stop or risk disappearing into the city's underground forever, never to be seen again.
I thought they was finna show us or let us hear or see the footage.
Scary Moments Man levitates on subway the 22nd of September 2023.
I call bluff. That wasn't real. That was fake.
I swear this building's haunted.
I thought they was about to show something for real.
Never take the subway after midnight, otherwise you'll be in danger. Back in 2012 in New York, a woman named Jennifer got out of work super late. It was almost 1 a.m. She went into a subway, and there were 3 people across from her, a woman and 2 men. Jennifer quickly noticed that the woman was staring at her for long minutes. This made her very uncomfortable. She started to get really scared, and just then the train stopped at a station, and another man got into the subway with them and sat next to Jennifer. Jennifer looked up and noticed she was still being watched. Very stressed, she avoided looking at the man who had sat next to her at all costs. And that's when it got terrifying. The train stopped again. The man next to her got up violently, grabbed Jennifer's arm and pulled her out of the subway. That's when she found herself alone in a station with a stranger. She panicked and tried to scream for help, but there was no one around. The man looked at her and said,
"Stop panicking, I just saved your life. I had to pull you out of the subway because the woman across from you was dead and the 2 men next to her were holding her body to keep it from falling."
If this situation happened to you soon, how would you react?
We heard that story in a previous video, but it didn't have animation with it, so.
And I'm telling you, this guy had blood in the cup and he started drinking it.
There are a lot of spooky subway stories going on. Some tunnels of the 76th Street station were sealed up with a concrete wall, and nowadays MTA workers claim that they can hear some horrifying yelling and weeping really late at night. What's the spookiest thing you've ever seen here?
And this guy comes on to the subway with this hole, like in his arm, like right here.
I'm already scared.
He's walking around with this cup, and I'm telling you, this guy had blood in the cup and he started drinking it.
That's Dracula.
It's an empty station. That's the spookiest thing.
They pulled their pants down and were sitting on every single person in the car.
I am definitely not going in there.
Yeah, this morning somebody truly was just crawling onto the tracks.
Like the power station where you can feel the presence of somebody that might be there, but there's nobody there in reality. It feels like ghosts everywhere.
What's the spookiest thing you've ever witnessed on the subway?
Home late at night, finding solace in the rhythm of the train. But one evening, as I boarded the nearly empty car, a chill crept over me. I found a seat and watched the fluorescent lights flicker overhead. As the train rattled forward, I noticed a man sitting at the far end, his face obscured by shadows. He was dressed in a long coat, and his gaze felt heavy on me. I shifted uncomfortably, but I couldn't look away. There was something unsettling about the way he tilted his head, as if he were listening for something. The train lurched to a stop at a darkened station, and the lights flickered again. My heart raced as I glanced back at the man. He was now standing, slowly moving toward me. "Do you hear it?" he asked, his voice low and raspy. "Hear what?" I replied, trying to sound calm. "The call of the tunnels," he whispered, his eyes wide. "They want you." A wave of dread washed over me. The train remained still, the silence stretching unbearably. I could hear the faint hum of something beneath the ground, a low growl that seemed to resonate through my bones. "Don't listen," I yelled, but it was too late. The lights flickered again, and the sound grew louder, a chorus of whispers, pleading and urgent. The man smiled, revealing teeth that were too sharp, too wide. "Join us," he said, extending a hand. In a surge of panic, I bolted for the door, fumbling with the handle. Just as it opened, I glanced back. The man stood there, his smile stretching impossibly, shadows swirling around him. I stumbled out onto the platform, gasping for breath. The train doors slid shut behind me, and as it pulled away, I saw him through the window, still smiling, still beckoning. I never took the subway alone again. The whispers followed me, haunting my thoughts, reminding me that beneath the city, something was waiting.
All right. Well, you reached the end of another video. Let me know in the comments if you made it to the end of this video, if you want a shout out in the next video, honey. But as usual, I love you. I appreciate your time. I do not take it for granted whatsoever. You already know, hit me in the links for life insurance, to become an agent, for IUL, for mortgage protection, for digital marketing, to create your own YouTube, to blow up your own social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok. You know, make some money, honey. Don't just be on here just looking around and browsing. Get you a bag, period. So check out the website, www.tenaciouscashflowacademy.com. Check out that video on that website. Give you a lot more information about that particular digital marketing product. And yeah, I love y'all. Y'all are my soul tribe. Tribe is with a Y because the Y is for you, honey. And that's because I love you so freaking much. You already know what to do with it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share to who? Everybody, baby. Everybody. Your neighbor, your family, your enemy, your bestie, the honeys on the side that you know that you like, that you be like, oh, how can I get at them? That's how you get at them. Say, check this out, boo. Let me know what you think. And then send them the link. Period. But, all right. I love you. Ashe.